The superhero of Marvel, Stan Lee, has regrettably passed on this week. In this episode, we honor him by talking about his origin story, the great legacy he's created, and how he's become a superhero in today's world, even if it's not like Spider-Man.
All that and more on the Halfassed Approach podcast.
Theme music.
With the half-assed donkey that gets his ass cut off. So this week, unfortunately, the man, the myth, the legend, Stan Lee did pass away. He apparently was just old age. He was 95. 95, not a bad run for,
that is a good run. Yes.
Yeah. Only, a year or two earlier, he'd been still going to Comic-Con. He'd been still going to all these comic book conventions and meeting the fans. Fans were really, really important to him. I think that shows a lot in that he really saw what his work was doing. He really saw how it was affecting people and saw what he was doing as important. I remember in one interview he was saying that his mom, wished he would do something better than comic books, but that he was really convinced that entertainment was very, very important. Finding heroes to look up to, I think, is very, very important as well.
I think he was born in a different time than what we know, too. If he's 95 in 2018, let me do a quick math. I'm sorry, I'm not. He's born in 1923.
I would have gotten there.
He remembered the Great Depression. So back then, too, I could kind of see why his parents were like, comic books are stupid. There's no, they're not important. Because back then, you're doing everything you could just to get a job. And so was everybody else. That era, you didn't throw anything away. It was that valuable.
And he was also born to Romanian immigrants. So he was a first-generation immigrant. I mean, for any of you who have not immigrated to a country, especially this country, I mean, you really got to be no nonsense. You got to be focused. You got to know that nothing comes for free, and you got to work your butt off. And that's how it was back then. As immigrants coming to this country, there was nothing waiting for them there. So they were very no nonsense. They were very focused. And so they didn't want him, quote unquote, wasting his time with comic books. They wanted him to have a real job. Now, one of his first early jobs was writing obituaries. That was actually his first writing position, which, I don't know about you, but I would love to have my obituary written by Stan Lee. I think he would make me sound a lot cooler than I actually was in real life. I want my obituary written in comic book form with pictures and
a graphic
speech
novel
bubbles.
style. That'd be freaking cool.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, there's many things that brought the world so far advanced from the Great Depression to what it is today. And so Stan Lee is probably just one cog in a great machine that's done this. But, back then, comic books, no parent wanted their child reading comic books. That was, just a waste of time and everything. But it's very different to see how it is nowadays, to where there's full-on adults, myself included, talking about him and just way into all of his comics and into the movies and stuff. And then it's a multi-billion-dollar industry now based on just his ideas, his creations. I would say it's a type of luxury.
Mm-hmm. He's
brought this type of entertainment to the world. And now, granted, he wasn't the first to do that. There is DC Comics. Still, it's just really cool to see that he's was a big part, definitely the main part, in bringing this type of luxury into our world and bringing this, a unique form of entertainment and really helping it become a big thing.
Just thinking about his history, his first big superhero thing that he was asked to do for Marvel Comics, at the time it was called Timely Comics, was Fantastic Four. So Justice League was starting to get really big at DC, and so his boss came to him and said, hey, we need a superhero team that will kick Justice League's butt. And so he came up with the Fantastic Four. Actually, a little side note, little trivia there. The same distributor, or the Marvel Comics or Timely Comics distributor at that time, was DC Comics. If you look up the cover of the first Fantastic Four, you'll notice something really interesting. Number one, they're not wearing any costumes. Number two, what's the main thing your eyes are drawn to first?
Probably the big green thing.
The big green monster, right? Okay, so what happened is that behind the scenes, they didn't really want DC to get notice of the fact that they were focusing more on superheroes and they were trying to make a superhero team that would rival the Justice League. So when they designed the cover, they did it to make it look, instead of like a superhero thing, they wanted to make it look like a monster themed, which is what Marvel and Timely Comics had been focusing on, more monster themed, like a Godzilla and things like that. After the comic became more successful, after a few issues, that's when they added the costumes on the main cover.
It sort of makes sense as to what the thing, like that's more of a monstery kind of term, not the mutant or the superhero or something like that, or Mr. Fantastic. The Human Torch. That's kind of more like a carnival freak show sort of title. Invisible Girl, same thing,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that's just a little bit of tidbit trivia. Is that they were focused on monsters back then and kind of wanted to hide it from DC. By the time DC found out about it, it was making too much money for them.
They started this machine. They got the ball rolling and they couldn't stop it.
Exactly.
Kind of reminds me of the cola wars between Pepsi and Coke. It's different, same thing basically, but differences between the two, and just their competition between them. That's about all I can relate to it with that, though.
Coke is better.
No,
absolutely.
If I don't really like cola, so I guess I don't have much of a say. But if I were to choose a cola, if it's the only thing I could drink, it'd be Pepsi.
Really?
Okay. I mean, I'm a Mountain Dew guy, so that's Pepsi for me.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point where it's like, do you have Coke or Pepsi? If they say one or the other, even though I don't drink either of those, I know which one I want, because if they have Pepsi, they have Mountain Dew. If they have Coke, they don't. Yeah. Although I'll give you this: Coke has mellow yellow, but not every place carries mellow yellow. If they carry Coke, they don't always. Kind of weird. It drives me nuts.
Yep.
Because it's like, come on, you got something that's good. You got one thing that's good. Yeah. I know plenty of people, my wife included, would disagree because she loves Coke, but
you married a good woman.
She's got her Coke stuff up on top of the cupboards on the kitchen, and then in the dining room, I got this cupboard thing too, and there's a bunch of Mountain Dew stuff there. It's kind of fun.
Stan Lee would be proud that we're going so off topic. I think. I don't know. What's interesting about Stan Lee too is that he actually had a contract with Marvel Studios to appear in every single Marvel movie. That was actually stated in the contract, is that he had to appear in every single one. Now you're probably wondering, now that he's passed on, will he appear in any more? Well, Marvel Studios did a really smart thing. They filmed 3 or 4 different cameos right before he passed away. Probably about 2 years before he passed away. So he's going to be in Captain Marvel and Avengers Infinity War. We're not sure if he's going to be in Spider-Man Far From Home. I've heard rumors about it, but I don't think he will be. Was he in Venom? I haven't seen Venom.
I haven't seen Venom either. Okay. I don't know.
All right, we're going to have to see that.
I'm going to say yes, because like every Marvel movie I've seen since I can remember has always had him in, except for maybe like there
was an X-Men movie that didn't have him in it.
The Spider-Man movies with, what's his name? The lame ones that were from the early 2000s.
Andrew Garfield?
Was that him?
I don't know. There were a lot of lame Spider-Man movies.
From the early 2000s, it had...
Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
He was in those.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while, so I don't know. I haven't really...
No, he was in those. That was actually one of my favorite cameos of his. It was... he goes up to Peter. He goes up to Tobey Maguire, and there's a... on Times Square, one of the news bulletins says, Spider-Man saves something something. And Stan Lee just goes up and says, I guess one man really can make a difference. I'm like, that's what you did, Stan Lee. You made the difference. So, yeah, I found out this news. It's going to be one of those things, kind of like 9/11. Well, that was a really dark comparison, but just bear with me.
Scratch that.
No, you better keep that.
Okay.
Everyone is going to remember where they were the day they found out or the moment they found out that Stan Lee died. It's the same with 9/11. It's the same with Michael Jackson. It's the same with people old enough to know Elvis. I don't know.
I was at work, personally.
So was I. And I got a notification on my phone from a news website, I think, that said Stan Lee died. And then I get a message from my brother-in-law, hey, did you hear Stan Lee died? Yeah.
think I just heard it through
cried away.
Facebook or something. I was checking my Facebook and
Yeah.
there was somewhere through there. But yeah, then 95 again, good run. Geez, you can develop schizophrenia, you can develop Alzheimer's. Neither of which are very good ways to go. You basically lose your mind and you don't even know who you are. Stan Lee was not only very well, he was kicking it. Like he was not just on. He wasn't not even, as far as I know, not even with a cane or anything.
No, yeah.
And he's making cameos in films, and he's taking interviews, and he's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can just tell he's mentally he's there,
Oh yeah.
and physically he's still walking about. 95, that's like way,
I wonder what his secret was. I don't know if he had a special diet or something, or if he just. There's something to be said for just loving what you do your entire life. Kind of reduces the stress. Yeah.
Possibly. I think I wouldn't be too stressful knowing that my creations ended up
Changing the world.
making billions of dollars, and I was just set for life.
So he literally said in an interview he wanted to create a character that everybody would hate. And hate so much that they would continue to read him. And he created Iron Man, which you have to realize, he created Iron Man during the height of Vietnam. Iron Man was a billionaire. He was heavily involved in the military-industrial complex. And he was a white guy. Those three things people hated. Particularly the military-industrial complex part. So
Same thing today.
Pretty much, yeah. So, and yet now look, Iron Man is that guy, but everyone loves him. Spider-Man, he wanted to create a character that was very, very relatable to young people. A character that had real life, real problems. And that was kind of new. That was kind of different for back then. Also, when he told his editors about, hey, I want to create this guy named Spider-Man, and his editor was like, well, that's dumb. No one likes spiders, so why would anyone like Spider-Man? But eventually they needed something. They needed one comic. It was called Amazing Fantastic Tales. That was the very first issue of Spider-Man, and it was...
he's got spider webs, webbing,
yeah.
Okay.
Which they showed those in the Tom Holland version.
Do they work like a squirrel suit? Or
Yes.
Okay.
They work like a squirrel suit.
That's... Okay, that'd be cool if he really did, but all right.
No, it really does.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He does. Yeah.
Okay.
He jumps over and it's pretty cool.
Shows how much I read the comics. Oh, you were saying too, like back in the day, they're like nobody wants a superhero who has just normal human problems. Like they only need superhero problems. Like nobody wants to read. And that's funny because like I think I'd be so bored with a superhero who just has superhero problems.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree, like with especially all the modern stuff, like a lot of these, they just have personal problems. They're not really any different than you or me. And the whole so something I will take that I liked about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans is especially that I want to say it's the Yellow Card song that was in the second one. It's literally called Gifts and Curses, and it's kind of about your gift is your curse, and that's exactly kind of what he brings up his power to be in that one. Is probably in the whole trilogy really, but just he's got this amazing gift, and he's able to be this awesome superhero, but like his own personal self, he's still like this loser who's, I mean, he gets Mary Jane, and Kirsten Dunst is pretty cute, but
she is. That's true. But I mean, he's late to everything. His life kind of sucks.
He's a pizza delivery guy. Like, come on, nobody appreciates him for what he is, and he can't really come out and be, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man," because when he does, like the one guy with the robotic arms,
he can't come out of the web. I'm sorry, that was horrible.
Can't come with. He's coming out of the web.
He's coming out of the web.
But he can't come out. Because everybody he knows can be in danger, and it does actually happen as villains find out who he really is. Of course, they go after his family. They go after his grandma.
It's technically his aunt, but it's
technically his aunt. She's old enough to be.
She's so old.
So I mean, it really just shows that his gift is his curse. That he's got this awesome ability, but there's a great cost, and it's kind of just you can almost apply that to any superhero. They have an awesome ability, but there's always some sort of curse that goes with it. Especially the superheroes who acquired that superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really like Peter Quill.
Peter Quill's cool.
He's one of my favorite, and he's just a regular boy who got abducted. Kind of weird, and has to live growing up this horrible life. But then he becomes like
badass.
Really badass. He's got his ship in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, by the way. I love that ship. Freaking awesome.
So good.
Such a beautiful ship.
Oh, yeah.
I love the orange theme colored
just,
scheme to it.
Yeah,
It's
it was
awesome.
just beautiful.
Very elegant, and just the way it moves, too. I don't know if a ship could really do that, but geez, that thing is so nimble. And again, it goes back to he's very relatable. This is people who have problems in the real world and stuff. And it's just kind of like their fantasy being played out. Just not that I really want to be abducted by some blue weird dude who's supposed to deliver me to a guy and
Quint,
doesn't
we've
actually.
all had that dream. It's okay.
About being well, sure we have that dream, but it's not always a fun one, is it? Because sometimes you have a dream or maybe you think it's the real thing and it doesn't turn so awesome, and then things start to get inserted in places you don't want them to.
Oh God, please stop.
Well, that's something that I guess Stan Lee has created. It's first the comics, then turned into movies, and just this became this huge franchise. It became this huge franchise, but it's just something that people can escape to, and just kind of growing up through the Cold War and like Vietnam and stuff. I'm sure like it was fun for people to escape from all that worry and stress. I definitely can't imagine being living in a time where like at any minute like
the Russians
a nuke can just drop from the sky and end the entire world.
And speaking kind of that, I like the fact that Marvel Comics stayed really apolitical. It didn't get involved in the politics of the day largely. They did some anti-drug stuff and stuff like that, but it was largely pretty apolitical.
Well, no, I would, because you were just talking like they kind of paralleled politics, and you kind of mentioned it too. Iron Man was kind of created to be this guy that everybody hated, and it paralleled what people thought of the Vietnam War back in the day. They didn't like people or the soldiers being sent out to fight a war that they felt like we shouldn't even be a part of. And kind of Iron Man, it sounds like was just kind of parallel to be that guy, to be a person that everybody hates, and yet in such a way that you made it interesting to see. And again, it's just how people can relate to it. And a lot of other sci-fi, Star Trek's very famous for being that, where that thing where they parallel real world events, like a real situation that is going on in the world, but they kind of change things up, so you might not quite realize that they're actually mimicking this real world event. It's also designed to kind of make you see the idiocracy in it, like, I can't believe they're fighting over something so dumb. But then you're also reminded of something in the real world, or like whatever war that was going on at the time, or kind of supposed to kind of help you realize how dumb the real world situation is too.
I mean, I guess it shouldn't have been a shock to us. The guy was 95, but it was one of those things that everyone knows is going to happen, but no one wants it to. No one wants to be faced with that, Nobody's
like counting down the days or being like, it could be any day now, or like, nobody does that. It's just fun. We do that with everybody in our lives. Just we always assume that they're always going to be there, and are always so shocked to see that when they aren't anymore.
I think it's going to be really hard when we see a Marvel movie with a cameo from him, and we realize he's not, like a new Marvel movie with a cameo from him, and we realize he's not alive anymore.
Yeah, it reminds me of Heath Ledger when he died, because they learned that he died shortly, I think, after Dark Knight came out. And then the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus was the very last. They were filming that when he died, and so because of that, they didn't want to scrap everything. They actually brought in like Colin Farrell and somebody else to kind of fill in his role and they kind of twisted the story a little bit to kind of explain why he suddenly turns into a different celebrity at different parts of the film. But it's just weird to watch him because when that movie came out, you're watching this and he's like, that's a dead guy on there, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit like that. If I see a Stan Lee cameo in a movie that hasn't been released yet. Like, yes, I know that when we film movies, it can be up to like 2 years before it actually comes out to theaters,
Yeah.
but, it's still going to be weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And then
weird.
I think it'll be even more sad when there's a Marvel movie that doesn't have him in it.
Yeah,
Honestly.
that's.
I think that
that's
because
the
it's
big-
going to be
That's the
fun.
big question in fans' minds is what happens now.
Yeah,
Are we gonna have-
moving on.
Yeah.
What's next? What do you think?
So, fans want Deadpool to start making cameos in every Marvel movie, which I would absolutely love.
I'd be way up for that too.
I'd be so down for that. But the stupid corporate politics, Fox owns the X-Men, and that includes Deadpool.
Is
But
that why
if Fox and Disney's merger still goes through, which I'm really hoping it does. Last I heard it did. But I also heard that the shareholders were going to sue or something. Some corporate stuff. So if that goes through, then theoretically they could do a Deadpool cameo in every Marvel movie. I doubt they would, though.
Yeah, because it
Because
is.
of freaking Disney.
It is technically the same universe, right? I've always wondered that. It's like I'm pretty sure X-Men is Marvel,
X-Men is Marvel, and
but
in the comics
there's
it's
never.
the same universe.
And then you see all these other Marvel superheroes, and they're all in the same universe. And
Right.
you see Avengers and Infinity War. That definitely ties all these superheroes together. It's like, where's X-Men? I've
Yeah.
always didn't.
So we
enough
know,
about that.
so we know that X-Men aren't going to be in Avengers: Infinity War, even though I really wanted them to be.
It'd be really badass. Honestly.
I think it would too, and they could do it through like a multiverse thing because they already introduced the multiverse with Doctor Strange, so we already know it's part of that. So they could do like, oh, we're going to jump over to this other universe real quick and borrow some of their superheroes. Oh, look, it's the X-Men. You know,
And in Deadpool too, there's so many jokes about like in the beginning of the second one. There's he's got the little figurine with the Logan like on the sword. Like it's very
self-aware.
yeah. Of course, yeah. I guess yeah. He is actually in the same universe as Logan, but he jokes about so many other movies in there too. Like he could be in a lot of different universes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're gonna put Deadpool as making cameos in Marvel movies to replace Stan Lee. That's a poor move.
It's something the fans want, but I don't know if the fans are joking or not. Like, if I got a survey question that said, hey, would you like to see Deadpool cameo in replacement of Stan Lee? My first instinct would be, yes, absolutely. That'd be so cool. And then you think about it for more than 3 seconds. That'd be really weird.
There is a time and place for Deadpool, I think. I think in some Marvel films, if you made a cameo in there, or even just played a small part, a small scene where you meet up with him, or even, the main characters has got their own crap going on one side of the bar, but he's being an ass on the other side or something, and like that would be awesome. But his type of humor doesn't fit every Marvel film.
Right.
Infinity War, I can't see him being anywhere in Infinity. He's just not. He's especially the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool is just not serious enough to be in something like that. Like, unless something happened in a Deadpool 3 or something like that that really changed up everything and made him really dark or something.
Yeah. I could see him running into the Guardians.
Oh, yes.
I could see him running into the Guardians.
Yes.
But the serious movies, they're all kind of funny. Like the Avengers movies, I don't want to see him.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a time and place.
Yeah, there's a time and place. So the Guardians movies, have at it, Deadpool. I would even say have him run into Thor. I think it'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, just have him and Thor kind of go at it.
Go at it. Doctor Strange. Have him run into Doctor Strange. I think that'd be hilarious. I don't think he belongs in Iron Man. I'm going to draw the line at Iron Man.
Yeah, because they're both very egotistical and they're both alpha.
Yeah.
Plus, Iron Man's already got that thing going on with Captain America. It's like, dude, guys, just go have your fun in the closet already. Stop bickering and just make out already. Come on.
That's some serious fan fiction, Quint. You've given that a lot of thought.
Yes. Is there a problem with that? So in conclusion,
Stan Lee was a great man who lived a wonderful life that affected a lot of people in very positive ways. I know some people went through some hard times, and frankly, comics and comic book movies got them through it. I know that's kind of a dark way to end it, but it's true.
And you can take that as cheesy, but take it however you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll admit there's been games that have been the same way for me. It's just they kind of got me through hard times or just made me feel things that you normally wouldn't feel, and for that I really appreciate.
Like Turned On, like some of the games you play, they just. I'm sorry, you said feel
horny.
things.
Like, what do you mean?
Horny, yeah.
Well, no, I mean like sad. Okay, for that Dragon Cancer really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Being about a guy whose kid is dealing with cancer. It was really just a really great way to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then Jacksepticeye comes to mind. I know there's actually a Facebook friend of mine who I recently saw a post, and it was crazy because I didn't think that he's always this kind of silly guy or whatever, but I guess they were going through hard times and they discovered his channel and kind of helped them get through hard times or whatever. And so yeah, they were really excited to actually. He had some sort of, I think he was coming to Utah actually for some reason, and so they bought tickets and were going to that. That's what the post was about. So I mean, yeah, that's games, but I kind of have to use games because I never really used comic books as that type of conduit. But
I think the main thing is escape. Find an escape.
But other people have used the comics like that, is what I'm saying. It's exactly why people read them. It's exactly why people watch the movies. And exactly this is why I was saying that's probably why people appreciate Peter Quill, because it's like they have their own stuff going on, and they kind of want to fantasize like being taken to a whole new, escaping all their problems and going off on this wild, crazy adventure. And that's really just anything Marvel has kind of, in a way, I would argue that has it become. Like, you can take, and there's such a wide variety of superheroes. How many, take a wild guess off the top of your head, how many superheroes has Stan Lee created?
Between 100 and 150, 200.
So,
easily.
Many.
A lot of them you probably haven't heard of. They have these like Class C, Class D superheroes that no one's heard of, which is pretty great. Some of them are kind of weird.
So you can really get in depth, is what I'm saying with this.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many different ways you can go. It's not just Iron Man. It's not just
Spider-Man.
Avengers. There's so many different ways to go. Jessica Jones, for example, is a
Jessica Jones is so bad.
bit of a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah.
It's actually the Netflix one's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, it's way good. We talked about that a podcast or two ago.
I think it was last one actually.
Yeah, last
but
podcast.
Yeah, pretty good.
No, it was way good.
Yes.
Weirdest superhero that I think he had a hand in. I know it's Marvel, but I think it was him as well. Squirrel Girl. Have you heard of this?
No.
Oh my gosh.
See, now I have to look it up.
You have to look it up. I'm sorry for the editing later, but you really have to look
That might
this
be
up.
worth it. What?
Yeah, okay, so
what's
background to Squirrel Girl.
Okay, which one's legit? A lot of these look like fan stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's the irony. They're all... do that one.
This one?
To the left. To the left. There we go.
This one. This is more legit?
That is literally her.
Okay.
Yeah. So, her powers...
She's not really a squirrel. She's got a pet squirrel and a furry vest.
She can control squirrels. She's actually a really good martial artist.
Man, the furry community would eat this
and
up.
She...
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they have already.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Her powers are to control squirrels. And
well, there's Ant-Man. He controls ants. Why not?
So she can control squirrels, and it's kind of a running joke that she can beat anyone. She beat Thanos by herself.
How?
I don't know. What's funny is that I don't think the
just part of
comics
the joke.
shows it. Yeah, exactly. It's part of the joke. The comics don't show it. So, like in one panel that you see Thanos, and the next panel Thanos is on the ground. And
okay.
She's standing over him. So it's like, we don't know how she does it, but she beats everyone. She's beaten Galactus, who eats planets. She beat Thanos. She beats all these like big superheroes that the Avengers have trouble with, but she just goes in and beats them. So yeah, but she's pretty awesome. And they're gonna put her in a TV show, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So people thought Guardians of the Galaxy was never going to be good. So when people are hearing about a live action version of Guardians of the Galaxy, especially how he's got a pet raccoon that like that's so crazy. That's not gonna work out. It only works well in the well. They were wrong, so maybe I'll give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this could be really awesome. Who knows?
I think it would be hilarious either way.
See, these like you'd wear these to a rave.
Absolutely.
And the tail for sure. Ah, geez, that's a huge clip-on tail.
Oh, absolutely. Well, who says it's clip-on?
Well, she's wearing whatever.
Well, okay.
Let's
on that frightening note, well, Stan Lee was a good man. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family at this time, and any who were personally affected by his death. As you know, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/halfassed pod. Jeez Louise.
Have you
Twitter.
butchered that enough yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Are we on Facebook? Twitter @halfassedpod. We're on patreon.com/halfassed. If you want to drop us some money. Anchor.fm/halfassed. And go to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is actually pretty, we're doing pretty well on there. We're doing pretty funny.
We think so, at least.
We think so, at least. And then we also have videos of us playing video games and being sarcastic and obnoxious. It's pretty fun. So check us out on there, and we'll see you next time on the Half-Assed Approach.
Please subscribe.
Oh, yeah, please subscribe.
Yeah, we're going to miss you, Stan Lee. And he's in the great Comic-Con in the sky. Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye.